Fujica, a place for budding and aspiring entrepreneurs. Guys, I am so excited to do this interview. I guess we can call it like a part 2.
Yeah.
Because in the first video, I asked you, Hauwa started talking about building her own business and stepping out on creating what she wanted in her life as it came to providing personal care. So I asked you guys if this is something you want to talk to, is the business part of that, and a lot of you of course said yes. So I'll make sure that video is linked here at the top and obviously in the description below, but make sure you check it out if you haven't watched it. So today we want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into the business aspect in terms of representing yourself and building your own business. Guys, before we get started, do not forget I have launched my home care course. So guys, the link is in the description. You definitely want to register. The class starts November 5th and then it concludes on December 10th. So I'm so excited for this, guys. Make sure you enroll. Enrollment is limited, so you really want to make sure you don't delay. So with that, we're going to get started. So Hauwa, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me back.
You're welcome. How does it feel to be highly requested?
You know, I did not expect that, but I'm glad.
Well, very good. I think we can pick up where you left off, just talking more about your journey.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I guess the last time I did touch on advertising your business, but what I would like to say is there are a lot of steps to follow. I didn't get it right all of the time, and there was some parts where I wish someone would have told me do this instead of do that first, you know, things like that. So, well, before I started, I created my portfolio, you know, like your resume. Has all your information, the skills you have, everything you know about the business and stuff like that. Put it in one area so that, you know, it's easily accessible for your future clients. And then the next step for me was to register my business, register for an LLC, come up with a name. Registering for the business does not mean that you get a license right away. It's just like a step, a prep for you to get a proper license if you would like that down the line. So I registered my business, and then the next step was the advertising, which we had touched on a little bit in a previous video. Basically, when I decided to advertise, I also went ahead and created business cards. That's something that no one told me, and I wish I had known that because it kind of delayed a few things for me. So I created the business cards, and I just kind of went everywhere. At first, it wasn't online. It was just word of mouth. I went to previous places that I had worked before, gave them my business card after I finally got them in the mail. And just kind of talked to them, tell them what I was offering. And then I actually had my cousin who had told me that, hey, why don't you focus more of an online presence, create more of that online presence, because it's good if you go and you talk to these different businesses. But if you create an online presence, that gives you more traffic, which is what you're looking for in a business like this. Yes. So I went everywhere, Indeed.com, CNAjobs.com, care.com, everywhere that I could think of to post my business. And I just kind of sat down and created, you know, a template for what the business is going to look like, what I'm offering, things that I can do for you. If this is what you're looking for, contact me here, and make yourself accessible. Put your email, your phone number. You know, if you have multiple emails, make sure you're very, very attentive. Make sure you check on them, because trust me, I got a lot of traffic from there, and I didn't expect that, you know. Nice. I thought if I went to these businesses that they would call me right away or they would refer me. It was the other way around. The online market was actually a lot more promising than I gave it credit for at first, so I really just dove into that and just gave everything my all. And then after that, you want to basically come up with you're a company now, you just started, so you want to know the rules, you want to know what your, for all intents and purposes, what your mission statement is. You know, you want to come up with your paperwork, you want to, the billing part of it, your tax paperwork, all of that stuff, because you're doing this by yourself. Unless you intend to hire someone else to help you down the line, you're on your own when you first start out. And there are a lot of things that, well, some of the things that I wish I had known from the beginning that I kind of had to catch up on. Like when I did my advertising, I was going to these different companies. Because I didn't have my business cards, a lot of people were asking me like, hey, do you have a contact info? Oh, hey, can I get your number? And I was writing it down on paper, but I wasn't getting any calls because by the time they found someone, they had lost my information. You know what I mean? So it was like make enough business cards to where you can drop like a stack of like 30
I like
at
that.
a business at a time.
You guys, let me step in really quickly because that is something, there's two schools of thought on the business card, so I'm so glad you're sharing that. Because you have some people who are like, oh, this is a digital era. No one wants a card anymore. Not true. Not true based on her experience.
Yeah.
And I love what you said in terms of bringing a staff because I've told you guys a lot about these virtual offices. We're in one right now. In the break room, there's a caddy full of business cards, people advertising their businesses. And so most people, now some people will be like, well, how can I put it in my phone? You know, some people will say that.
That's right.
But remember, the majority of people are like, let me have your card. So you want to make sure you're ready with that.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I think it was probably like a good 2 months before I got any real like calls from people. But because I wasn't certain if the business was going to take off, I didn't do a lot of stuff like come up with the paperwork. How am I going to bill this people? You know, what are the criterias? What are the stuff, my skills, based on my skills, what can I offer them if they want it? You have to do things like that. So based on my experience, things that I've noticed, you know, I necessarily don't work in those areas, but just based on what I've seen, I came up with a couple of paperwork. You know, if I was willing to transport these patients, there was a paperwork for that. If based on what I was doing for the patient, there was a paperwork for that because at the end of every visit, I needed the family members to sign it, okay? So this is, I mean, like I said before, if you don't document it, it wasn't done. And it's very important for you to know for tax purposes or whatever, because if they come back and audit you for whatever reason, you need to have that backup. Not saying it's gonna happen, but for me, I just feel more secure in my business to have that information. So that was very, very helpful.
Let me ask you this, because she didn't come to play, okay? You see, she jumped in. She wasn't playing around. But let me ask you this. What made you go from, you know what, I'm going to sign up with this particular agency and represent them to, no, I'm good. I could just go ahead and start my own business.
Right. I worked in a nursing system for 11 years before I made that decision. There was a lot of factors that went into me not wanting to be in that situation. And unfortunately, just for my peace of mind, I thought it was just best if I tried it. I didn't even know how it was going to work, but I was at the end of my rope. I still needed income coming in, but I didn't want to be in that situation anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in the business, you see a lot of people going, oh yeah, I started my own business. I did it by myself. And I'm like, how? Like, I don't see how that would work because you're so used to applying for a job, going for the interviews, submitting your resume, they see if you're qualified, you do the training and everything. And after so many years of going through that, just all the complications with working with different personalities, I just thought it would be best if I went out on my own and tried it and see. And I'm so glad that I did because I've been the happiest, I think, in all of my life, working in the nursing system. This is the happiest I've been. I enjoy it so much. I can create my own schedules. I can choose to work whenever I want to. You just get that freedom and that peace of mind at the end of the day.
Yes. So I love that. A couple of things that she said that I think is really good advice is that sometimes you don't know the road. It's not always clear when you first start. But I hope you listened to Hauwa when she said, I picked up little things as I was working. So she didn't just come to work, show up to work, do her work, and go home. She paid attention to, well, how was that business being conducted? What kind of paperwork was being exchanged? What systems was she taking part in each and every day with these clients? Both on the client side and then on the company side. Because she was able to take those skill sets out and say, well, you know what, let me step out on my own with this stuff. So I always encourage people, yes, you're excited because you're getting a job and you want to be employed, but you should every day be figuring out what tool, what skill set can I build? And that goes into your tool belt. That goes into your professional tool belt. And those skills become very useful for you, deciding on what you want to do with them. So I love that you said that. That's amazing. Okay, so you were getting ready to kind of dive into billing a little bit more. Okay,
so for me, I just, based on each client, because you're not going to get the same person, you're not going to get the same amount of work that you have to do. Everyone is different. So for me, what I did was based on, and for other people it's different, but for me, based on how I work, I charge each client based on what their needs are. So the day I agree to come to your home or, respective places where you are to do an assessment, that assessment includes everything that you would like from me, everything that you expect your caregiver to do for you. And based on that, when I leave, I go home and I come up with sort of like a contract. That contract includes how much rate it's going to be, usually per hour. And then I forward that to the family. They look over it, and if it's something they're okay with, they go ahead and they sign it. And I get it back. I get a copy, and then I make them a copy as well, just for their records. And then we go on from there. So I don't have a base rate. I just charge the client based on what amount of care I'm giving them. Yeah, and that works for me. So
very good, very good. To the paperwork. So I know this is a big question that we get from the audience a lot. Did you go on Microsoft, Word, and use some of their templates? Right. Did you use like a paid subscription? Tell us what you did.
So I actually have two systems that I use in place for this. I did use Microsoft Word, and I also use what a lot of you might know, QuickBooks.
Yeah.
So I use those two a lot, and it's very helpful. Some of the paperwork I came up with just on my own based on my experience and stuff that I thought was missing with those other employees. And other paperwork that I came up with are based on stuff that I've seen. And I know it's very relevant to have those type of information, even if it's for the doctors or for the families or for lawyers, for whatever the situation is. So yeah, that's how I was able to come up with a lot of my paperwork, and it's been very helpful so far. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Awesomeness. Okay, what else do you want to add at this time?
I think at this time I want to reiterate again that if this is something you want to do, please make sure you're passionate about it. Because if there's no passion behind it, every step of every challenge you have to go through would seem like such a high mountain to climb. If you're passionate about it, it just becomes another thing that you enjoy to do, or something that you're fascinated by, that you want to learn more about. That's why it's very important. I said that this the last time, to make sure that your online presence so far is professional. Even if it's your Instagram account, your Facebook account, you know what I'm saying? Because I've had situations where families come back and like, oh yeah, I saw you on Facebook, is this you? You know what I'm saying? And if they had seen something that I had posted and they didn't agree with, that's me losing out on a potential business and other referrals from them. You just never know. And so that's something that's very, very important. Make sure it's something you're passionate about. Make sure your online footprint is very, very professional. Make sure you have time to invest in this, because it is a lot of work. But when you come out on the other side, it's such a reward. Such a reward.
Nice. And I told you guys, from the time that she was with us up until currently, we literally have not looked for anyone else. This is a true story. The only time we've looked for care outside of her is when she was busy. Because y'all, she is booking busy. I just need you to know that. But even though she's booked and busy, she continues to look after me, and I'm so thankful. You guys, she definitely dropped some nuggets in here. I've been taking notes. I'm going to make sure that I include all of that stuff in the link. But again, really, I love what she's saying in terms of you really can do it, but it's going to take some sweat equity, it's going to take some time, and you have got to push. No one's going to hand anything to you. But you have to be your advocate for your business, whether it's you representing yourself or you standing up a company. You have to make sure that you're aggressive as it relates to getting this stuff stood up. And you really want to make sure that you're organized. You know what I mean? So take it one step at a time. You can do it. If we can do it, you can do it. You guys, I do want to thank Hauwa for her time for this video. Guys, you will see her again because we're going to be discussing another topic since this is Home Health Month here at Simply Fujica. But guys, I do want to thank you for your attention today. If you haven't already, don't forget to like the video. Do not forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're notified every time we drop a new video. Okay guys, that's all I have for you today. Stay blessed.